Anyone got any Shabbat scriptures to read? We got no Shabbat scriptures to read? Okay. Alright. Shabbat Shalom. This is Bethel Shabbat Sabbath Day Church in Jacksonville, North Carolina. Address 118 Cheney Avenue. Overseer Minister Ronald Harrison, filling in for him today as he is over in Africa. Right now we're going to open the Sabbath day with the scriptures, why we keep the Shabbat. And we're going to start in Exodus chapter 20. Exodus chapter 20. And verse 8 to 11. Remember the Shabbat day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Shabbat of El thy Yah. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy sons, nor thy daughters, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy strangers that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yah made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them is, and rested the 7th day. Therefore Yah blessed the Shabbat day and hallowed it. Okay, now we're going to go to a little bit of Deuteronomy 5 and verse 12. Whoa. That might be the wrong one. Let me double check. We can go to, never mind that. This Leviticus chapter 26 and 2. Leviticus 26 and 2. Ye shall keep my Shabbats and reverence my sanctuary. I am Yah. If you walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them, then I will give you rain in due season, and the land shall yield her increase, and the trees of the field shall yield their fruits. Okay, so if we keep his Shabbat and we do what he says, you know, you're going to be blessed. Have a blessing. So that was just a little bit of reading of the Shabbat scriptures. If nobody else got any Shabbat scriptures to read, we're going to go from there. So I guess since we're done with that, start on the Shabbat lesson at hand, which is going to be a continuance from last night. So we're going to do a continuous of the lesson from last night. This last night was the how Gentiles are going to live in the millennial reign, and this is how Zion will live in the millennial reign. Okay, so today is only going to be emphasizing on the lives of Zion in the millennial reign and how their lives will be. So we're going to start, and I pray that Yahushua Mashiach be in the lesson. May his word go forth in truth and sincerity, and may we be blessed with his presence. Alright, so we're going to start in Revelations chapter 7 and 4. So when the millennial reign starts, when Yahushua HaMashiach returns, this is how it's going to go. This is the beginning, and this is how it's going to be in the millennial reign for the Hebrew Israelites, Zion, 12 tribes of Israel. Revelations chapter 7, verse 4. And I beheld the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. Okay. Now we're going to go to Revelations 14, 1 to 5. And I went to this one to establish that, hey, the 144 is only the 12 tribes of Israel. It's technically 12,000 from each tribe. But we're going to go to Revelations 14, 1 to 5. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion. Who is that lamb who has returned? That's Yahushua HaMashiach. And with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many watchers, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps, and they sung as if it were a new song before the throne, and before the four beasts and the elders, and no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. So you're starting to see something right here, that special things are only for the tribes of Hebrew Israelites. This song that no man could learn but them that are the 144,000 of the tribes of Israel is a special song that they will sing before Yahushua HaMashiach. Verse 4. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb wheresoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among man, being the first fruits unto Yah and to the Lamb. So these are only man. These are only man out of the 12 tribes of Israel, and they are not have been defiled with women. And if you go into verse 4 a little bit more, it's talking about they have not succumbed to whoredom. They have not been in subjection to the succubus whore, the harlot, the mother of harlots. They have not fallen into the traps like Samson and various other males in the Bible who have succumbed to the tricks of whoredom, Ahab with Jezebel, etc., etc. And this always goes back to that being technical and details in the Bible, because about a month ago or so, I was looking at somebody writing a comment online, and it was a woman. She said that she thinks that she's part of the 144,000. First off, the 144,000 are only men. But this is the thing about in these churches, in these whatever places, they don't teach really thus said the Yah. They go off their own emotions, and there's even, if you look it up right now and type in or 100 or the 144 women too, you're gonna have sites that pop up that said yes, women are part of the 144. That is not true. But I say this to say that she even went on to say, because she is a survivor of cancer of 3 times, she thinks that she is part of the 144,000. It's all about technicality and aligning up the scriptures word for word, precept upon precept. What thus said Yah, not your feelings. So we see him return. He returned with the 144. Now we're going to go on to see how else he's behaving. Matthew chapter 25, verse 31 to 34. Matthew chapter 25, 31 to 34. So the 144 are with Yahushua. He coming back, and they're beginning their reign. The millennial reign is beginning. Let's see how it's going to depict. We went over this scripture last night as well. There are going to be a few scriptures that are going to be in this lesson from last night as well. Matthew 25, 31 to 34. So Yahushua HaMashiach is back with on the planet, and he's beginning his reign. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divided his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left hand. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. So we understand here, and one of the nations that are going to be separated from other nations is going to be Zion. Okay, so when one of the first things Yahushua is going to do when he come back, he's separating the nations. Now we're going to go to Deuteronomy 32 and verse 8. Because this has always been the plan for every nation to inherit all of their blessings in their particular dominion. This is Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 8. Deuteronomy 32, verse 8. Verse 7 to 8, excuse me. Verse 7 to 8. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee. Thy elders, and they will tell thee. When the Most High divided the nations of their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. And this is the same thing that he's going to do when he returns. One of the first things he's going to do is separate things, because every landmass is not somebody else's dominion. You know, some places are for the Hamites, some places are for the Japhite people, some places are for the Shemitic people, etc., etc., etc. So dominionship will be established in the millennial reign right here. Now we're going to go to Revelations 12, verse 5. Revelations 12, verse 5. Revelations chapter 12, verse 5. And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations, just emphasizing even more that you don't lose your nationality just because you accept Yahushua HaMashiach. You keep your nationality. That never changes. And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto Yah and to his throne. Now we're going to go to 1 Peter. So Yahushua HaMashiach will rule with a rod of iron. That means he's not taking no nonsense. 1 Peter chapter 4, 17 to 19. And now you're going to start seeing more and more the entails of Zion, how they will begin to live out the millennial reign. 1 Peter chapter 4, 17 to 19. For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of Yah. What is the house of Yah? The 12 tribes of Israel. Judgment does not begin with the Gentiles. So when the Gentiles, I know it's going to be a scary thing. They say he's going to come like a fire cloud and everything's going to be very scary. The earth is going to shake and all that. But the Gentiles it's not their judgment that is coming at that particular time. It's Zion's judgment that is coming. For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of Yah. And if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of Yah? And if the righteous scarcely be saved, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? Wherefore, let them that suffer according to the will of Yah commit the keeping of their souls to him in well-doing as unto a faithful creator. So, again, when Yahushua HaMashiach comes, one of the first things he's going to do is kill a whole bunch of Hebrew Israelites. Why? Because to much that is given, much is required. You were given much responsibility and much power and blessings, and if you played around with that because you did not do what he says, he's going to come kill you. But the Gentiles, this is something that the Gentiles will be watching. And again, if he did that to his beloved, when it's the Gentiles' time to be judged, no mercy will be shown to Gentiles either. No mercy is going to be shown to Hebrew Israelites for time of judgment, and no mercy is going to be shown to the Gentiles for time for judgment. And it's saying if he did this to Zion, with scarcely the righteous will be saved. Where shall the ungodly and sinner appear? So he's telling you, man, if he's this hard on the righteous, everybody else, hey man, y'all better take heed here. He's not playing. But this is these are one of the first steps in the millennial reign that the Hebrew Israelites will experience. They will experience death. That's one of the first things wicked Hebrew Israelites will experience. Jeremiah 25, verse 15, and then we're going to go to verse 28 to 29. Jeremiah chapter 25, verse 15 to verse 28 to 29. All right, verse 15. For thus said Yah of Israel unto me, take the wine cup of this fury at mine hand, and I will cause all nations to whom I send thee to drink it. So when Yahushua comes back, this is what he's going to do. All nations are going to drink the cup of wrath. Verse 28 to 29. It shall be, if they refuse to take the cup at thine hand to drink, and see right here, check this out. Yahushua HaMashiach is not going to do all the work of judgment. He's going to have workers, Hebrew Israelite, go to the nations and say, hey, this is the judgment that Yahushua has deemed upon you. And some nations are going to say, I'm not taking that. You know how you get some mail, they be like, you got to sign for it? They be like, I ain't signing for that. So Yahushua HaMashiach is going to send out his elect to go issue the judgment to the nations. Then shalt thou say unto them, thus said the Yah of hosts, ye shall certainly drink. For lo, I begin to bring evil on the city which is called by my name. And should ye be utterly unpunished? You see right here what he said? He say, judgment started at the house of Israel that is called by my name. What city is called by his name? Israel, Zion, Jerusalem. So he's saying, if they got judgment, you better than Zion? No, you're going to get the judgment. 2. Ye shall not be unpunished, For I will call for a sword upon all the inhabitants of the earth, said Yah of hosts. And I read this to precept with 1 Peter, because it says judgment will start at the house of Israel in verse 29, and saying, hey, judgment is started in Zion first. Are you too good for judgment? So the first thing that's going to happen in the millennial reign for Zion, again, a whole bunch of Hebrew Israelites are going to be put to death. Ezekiel 20, what a way to start, huh? I guess get all the troublemakers out first. You know what I'm saying? So we can enjoy the millennial reign, because that's what Yah did when they released from Egypt. What he did, he didn't bring them to the promised land first. He put them in the wilderness, and what happened? He killed all the wicked before they could go to the promised land. So before Zion get the blessings and all this stuff and going to the kingdom, you're gonna see a lot of bloodshed. A lot of grandmas, a lot of grandmothers, a lot of grandfathers, sons, sisters, cousins, aunts, they gonna die. Ezekiel 20. Verse 30 to 38. Ezekiel 20, verse 30 to 38. Wherefore said unto the house of Israel, thus said Yah, are ye polluted after the manner of your fathers, and commit ye whoredoms after their abominations? For when ye offer your gifts, when ye make your sons to pass through the fire, ye pollute yourselves with all your idols, even unto this day. And shall I be inquired of by you, O house of Israel? As I live, saith Yah, I will not inquire of by you. I will not be inquired of by you, and that which committeth into your mind, which cometh into your mind, shall not be at all, that ye say, we will be as the heathen, and as the families of the countries, to serve wood and stone. So Israel, we got some Hebrew Israelites that say, no, we're going to take the customs of the Gentiles who don't know how to live, and they practice doctrines of devils. That's why Yah sent Zion to Gentiles to teach them how to live correctly and serve the one and true living Yah. But now it's switched. They went to the Gentiles, and the Gentiles taught them how to serve the devil. So we're still going to have some people who are in this mindset, and we're going to have some Gentiles that say, hey, I see my error, and I'll turn from that. I'm serving the living Yah. And we see Hebrew Israelites that have turned to the ways of the errors of the Gentiles, and they're worshiping the devil. What is going to happen to these people? As I live, saith Yah, verse 33, surely with a mighty hand, and with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out, will I rule over you. And we go to Revelations chapter, 12, when he say he will rule with a rod of iron. This is not something that we should put in subjection. When he said in Ezekiel, when he said in Jeremiah that he's going to send the cup of wrath to all nations, Yahushua's not playing. He's not a puppy that you're gonna play with. He's not some pet that you're just gonna, oh, you so cute and ugly. This man is a man of great wrath when it's time for wrath. He's not a play toy.
He's not a man of wrath.
That's why, and that's why I keep reading this stuff, because getting your mindset, when you go before him, you're going to bow in great reverence. Because at any moment, you know, man, his power is wonderfully great and could decimate whole nations. 34, and I will bring you out from the people, I will bring you out from among the Gentiles, and will gather you out of the countries where ye were scattered. When were the Hebrew Israelites scattered? That's Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68 For why? For Deuteronomy 28 verse 15, they disobeyed Yah, so he scattered them across the world to the other countries, to the other nations, with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out. I will bring you into the wilderness. In the millennial reign, again, it's going to be a cleansing first. Before Hebrew Israelites, his chosen people, get all the glitz and glamour and all things, he's going to put them back in the wilderness condition. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness. So what? We have a wilderness part 2. As of the land of Egypt, so I will plead with you, said Yah, and I will cause you to pass under the rod. We know his rod is a rod of iron, a very stern iron, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant, and I will purge out from among you. Purging means is to take something out. Purging. The rebels, the Hebrew Israelite rebels, will be purged out, and them that transgress against me, I will bring them forth out of the country where they should join, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel. We got a part 2 of them dying in the wilderness. They're not going into New Jerusalem. And ye shall know that I am Yah, your El. Okay, so, and this would be the understanding of what some might understand or know of, is the teaching of the 2/3. 2/3 of Zion will be put to death. Now we're going to go emphasize on this in Zechariah 13, verse 1 to 2, and verse 7 to 9. Zechariah chapter 13. See, everybody thought when Yahushua Mashiach come back, it was just going to be so, all the pain is over. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Yahushua. Nope. The first thing he does with Zion is purge out the wickedness. Zechariah 13, 1 to 2. In that day there shall be a fountain open to the house of David and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, for sin and for uncleanness. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yah of hosts, that I will cut off the name of the idols out of the land, and they shall no more be remembered. And I will cause the prophets and the unclean spirits to pass out of the land. First thing when he comes back, he's cleaning up the house of Israel. That's what Zion is going to experience. Now we're going to go to verse 7 and 9. Awake, O sword, against my shepherd. Wow. He probably got a magic sword too. Awake, sword of wrath. It probably come to him too.
Going and coming.
Whoa. Awake, O sword, against my shepherd, and against the man that is my fellow, my kinsman. This is talking about Hebrew Israelite kinfolk. Saith Yah of hosts, smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered, and I will turn my hand upon the little ones. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith Yah, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the El is my Yah. So, again, the first thing Yah is going to do with Zion is going to clean house. So, let's say there is 30 million, probably more than that. Let's say there is 90 million Hebrew Israelites on the planet Earth. altogether. 60 million Hebrew Israelites will be put to death. And only 30 million will be walking into the land of New Jerusalem. That's the 2/3 that will die off. Okay, now we're going to go to Ezekiel chapter 9, 1 to 11. See, man, this whole millennial reign thing, ooh, it's really different than what people be teaching, man. You know, it's all butterflies and wonderful.
Ezekiel what?
Ezekiel 9, 1, verse 1 to 11. I mean, boy, when people talk about this stuff, I be checking it out on YouTube, man. Oh, it's gonna be beautiful. It's all gonna be good. Nobody talking about this though. You know, that's what I'm saying. Be careful who you learn from.
They ain't even hearing that.
Not nothing. They would call it blasphemy if they did hear it. Blasphemy. You ain't got the spirit.
Get away from
you
me.
vile demon, son of Beelzebub. Don't know that. And you know, some will be like, look, I'm sorry I called you Beelzebub. You know, say that 10 Gentiles take hold of you, okay? Look, I'm sorry about that, just that Beelzebub thing. I was tripping, you know. All right, Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 1 to 11. He cried also in my ears with a loud voice, saying, cause them that have charge over the city to draw near, even every every man with his destroying weapon in his hand. And behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate, which lieth toward the north, and every man a slaughtering weapon in his hand, and one man among them was clothed with linen, with a righteous inkhorn by his side, and they went in and stood beside the brazen altar, and the glory of Yah of Israel was gone up from the cherub, whereupon he was, to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side, and Yah said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the forehead of the man that sigh and cry for all the inhabitants, the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And to the others he said in mine hearing, go ye after him through the city, and smite. Let not your eye spare, neither have ye pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maid and little children and women, but come not near any. And a maiden would be like a virgin. It's a translation to a virgin. That's why they say I'm a maid, and I'm a maid. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be a virgin woman. So there's even evil virgins. So just because you're a virgin don't mean your heart not black. But come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and being at my sanctuary. Then they began at the ancient men which were before the house. And he said, and look at that, you remember we just did that lesson on respecting the elders. Yah said give great respect to the elders, but when it's time to kill, he gonna kill the first people he gonna kill are the elders. 7. And he said unto them, defile the house, and fill the courts with the slain. Go ye forth. And they went forth and slew in the city. And it came to pass, while they were slaying them, and was left that I fell upon my face and cried and said, Ah, El, Yah, wilt thou destroy all the residue of Israel in thy pouring out of thy fury upon Jerusalem? Then said he unto me, the iniquity of the house of Israel, and the land is full of blood, and the city full of perverseness. For they say, Yah hath forsaken the earth, and El said not. And as for me also, mine eyes shall not spare, neither will I have pity, but I will recompense their way upon their head. And behold, the man clothed with linen, which had the inkhorn by his side, report the matter, saying, I have done as thou hast commanded. And you got to understand, the people who are not going to go through this are the people who have the mark of Yah on their foreheads. Just like it says in Revelation, they had, in reference to the 144, they had the name written on them was the name of Yah. They had the mark. Now we're going to go to, so after all the wicked die and everything, now it's time for the good life. So Yah done got all the wicked out of there. We read that extensively. Now, how is the good life is going to be? Now we're going to go to Acts chapter 1, verse 6 to 7. Acts chapter 1, verse 6 to 7. When therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom of Israel? This is Acts chapter 1, verse 6. And he said, wilt thou, this is what the Hebrew Israelites are asking Yahushua, wilt thou restore the kingdom back to us? Why would the Hebrew Israelites ask for the kingdom to be restored back to them? Because the kingdom was always supposed to be theirs. They always were supposed to have dominion. Hebrew Israelites fell because they continued to sin against Yah. And he never said that he would never give them back the kingdom. He only put them into punishment for a while until he returns in full strength. And then he's going to restore back what is rightfully Hebrew Israelites, the kingdom. This planet Earth is for the Hebrew Israelites. It's for them. This is who they get. This is who he chose to give this planet to. And we're going to read about that extensively later. So they asked him, will the kingdom be restored back to Zion? And he said in verse 7, and he said unto them, it is not for you to know the time or season. What? Which the Father hath put in his own power. So there's this doctrine out here that God has left Zion, left Israel, and now he has a new bride, which are the Gentiles. That is a 100% lie. The kingdom is coming back to Zion in full, and they're asking here when it's going to be returned to us. And Yahushua HaMashiach didn't tell them, you know what y'all did. You know the kingdom is not in your hand no more. He didn't say that. He said, look, you don't know, you're not supposed to know the time when it's going to be restored back to you. This is what he's saying. So, Exodus chapter 19, verse 5. So we already done got all the killing and the wicked Hebrew Israelites out of the way, and now it's time to start the enjoyment side of, even though getting the wicked people are going to be enjoying things because getting the wickedness out, but we're talking about just a real nice life now. Exodus chapter 19, verse 5. 19, verse 5. Now, therefore, if ye will obey my voice, indeed, he's talking to the Hebrew Israelites, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a particular treasure unto me above all people, Gentiles, nations, for all the earth is mine. So Yah right here is telling Zion that if you keep my laws, statutes, and commandments, you'll be a particular treasure and unto me above all people on the planet Earth. And that is still going on to this day. Like I was saying last night, it's Yah, Yahusha, angels, Zion, Gentiles. And you got Canaan, you got even statue levels in the Gentiles. Remember, Canaan is the lowest Gentile nation on the planet Earth. forever. They're cursed. And then Edom during the millennial reign, they're going to be wiped out because of what they did to their brother. And then you got the Philistines, Tyre. The Philistines, those are Arab nations, and the Tyre, one of those are Hamitic nations. Those are some of the lower nations that are going to be in the millennial reign for their past sins. Now we're going to go to 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9. First Peter chapter 2, verse 9. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, talking to the Hebrew Israelites, a holy nation. See right here, a lot of people talk about, oh, once you come into Christ, we have been adopted in and we're Hebrew Israelites. No. Right here it says you are a holy nation. A nation means one people, one group of people. What nation is that? Who is the priesthood nation? The Hebrew Israelites, Zion. A particular people. In what we just went to in Exodus chapter 19, he said you will be a particular treasure unto who? Yah. Above all others, nations, that ye should show forth the praise of him who hath called you, Hebrew Israelites, out of darkness. How did the Hebrew Israelites go into darkness? By not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. How can you come out of darkness? How can one be saying come out of darkness if they were never in the light? Hebrew Israelites were in the light at one point. This is why he's saying you were in the darkness. Now you're going to be able to come out of the darkness into the marvelous light, which is back to Yah through Yahushua Mashiach in the law, statutes, and commandments. This verse is talking about one particular people on the planet Earth, Hebrew Israelites. Zechariah chapter 8, 1 to 8. So we're establishing their standards, Hebrew Israelites standing with Yah through Yahushua Mashiach, where they stand with him. Zechariah chapter 8. (1 to 8). Zechariah chapter 8, 1 to 8. Again, the word of Yah of hosts came to me, saying, Thus said Yah of hosts, I was jealous for Zion with a great jealousy, and I was jealous for her with great fury. Why? Because it's a complicated relationship. You know, it's a multifaceted relationship. In one aspect, Zion is his child. One aspect, Yah is his chosen people. One aspect, Zion is his bride. It's a complicated situation, but the point is Zion is his, and he's jealous over his. So when he comes back, this is what's going to take place. Thus said Yah, I am returned unto Zion. When will he return unto Zion? When he return in the millennial reign. And will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem. When will he dwell in the midst of Jerusalem? In the millennial reign. And Jerusalem, and shall be called a city of truth, and the mountain of El of hosts, the holy mountain. Thus said Yah of hosts, there shall yet old men and old women dwell in the streets of Jerusalem, and every man with his staff in his hand for very age. And the streets of the city shall be full of boys and girls playing in the streets thereof. Thus said Yah of hosts, if it be marvelous in the eyes of the remnant. We talked about how they got to the remnant, because he's going to do so much killing of the 2/3 before they go to Jerusalem. This is the 1/3, the remnant. of the people in these days should it be also marvelous in mine eyes, said Yah of hosts. So when you ask your father, when Zion asks their El here, hey, can I have this? Hey, I want to do this. And he gonna do it with joyness. You want a yacht? Do. You want a pony? Do. You want this? Do. It's marvelous. It's like he's gonna, because why? Because he already took the wicked out. So he's only got the righteous left. So they're not going to be spoiled brats or anything like that. So Yah, he's a giver. The scriptures say it is better to give than to receive. Thus said Yah, verse 7. Thus said Yah of hosts, behold, I will save my people. Who is his people? The Hebrew Israelites. They will be saved from the east country and from the west country. Why are they being saved from the east and the west country? Because he scattered them throughout the planet Earth, and he's gathering them back. I couldn't get the herb. Gathering back. And I will bring them, and they shall dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and they shall be my people, Hebrew Israelites, not all nations. The nations are going to be in their own land. And I will be their Yah in truth and in righteousness. So one of the things that's going to happen to Zion, they're going to be taken from the places that they were put in captivity from. He's going to come pick them up and bring them. Okay? Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 16 to 20. Ezekiel 11, 16 to 20. Ezekiel 11, 16 to 20. Therefore say, thus said Yah Almighty, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, meaning he cast them to the heathen to be judged, to serve out punishment, via Deuteronomy 28, 15 to 68, and various other chapters. And although have I scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come. Therefore say, thus said Yah, I will even gather you from the people and assemble you out of the countries where ye have been scattered, and I will give you the land of Israel. Who is going to be given the land of Israel? Hebrew Israelites. No other people on the planet Earth will be given this land. And they shall come thither, and they shall take away all the detestable things thereof, and all the abominations thereof from thence. And I will give them one heart, and I will put a new spirit within them. This is a big thing. People don't understand. A lot of people who practice this stuff and talk about this stuff, they don't understand this. He's saying he's going to put them a new spirit and a new heart within you, and I will take the stony heart out of your flesh, talking to Hebrew Israelites, and will give them a heart of flesh, that they may walk in my statutes and keep mine ordinances and do them, and they shall be my people, and I will be their Yah. So he's putting a new heart in them, he's putting a new spirit in Hebrew Israelites, and he's going to put his ordinance in who? Hebrew Israelites. He's not doing this for all nations, only the Hebrew Israelites. And let's see how this plays out. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 8, verse 6 to 13, because this is very important. Because a lot of times you hear people say, well, he was with the Hebrew Israelites in the old covenant. And I see a lot of people with a prideful spirit when they speak on this, that no, that's the old covenant. The new covenant, everybody's in the new covenant. Now I'm his bride. No, that is not what the Bible says. And we're going to go to it. What is this prophecy of Ezekiel 11, 16 to 20? It's in Hebrews chapter 8. And let's see the full detail. Because the scriptures say, let everything be done decently and orderly, precept upon precept. And this is why you have a woman that thinks because she had cancer 3 times, she's part of the 144,000. It makes no sense. You know? Hebrews chapter 8, 6 to 13. But now have he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is the mediator of a better covenant. So what's happening here? The doing away of the old covenant, and Yahushua HaMashiach is the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. Hebrews chapter 8, verse 7. For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. For finding fault with them, he said, Behold, the days come, said Yah, when I will make a new covenant. And this is where people just straight up lie. The new covenant is for everybody. I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. The southern tribe and the northern tribe equal the whole 12 tribes of Zion. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continue not in my covenant, the old covenant, and I regard them not, said Yah. The Most High cast Zion off because he was mad. He put them in punishment. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days. The house of Israel is not all nations. The house of Israel is 12 tribes of Israel. Said Yah, I will put my laws into their mind. What is that from? Ezekiel, that is from Ezekiel chapter 11, 16 to 20. He say, I'm going to give them a new heart, a new spirit, and I'm going to put my ordinances in them. In who? In Hebrew Israelites. And write them in their hearts. And I will be to them a Yah. And they shall be to me a people. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor. Why? You will no longer have to teach anyone. Why? Because it's in your heart, it's in your spirit, it's in you. He downloaded it into you. This is the new covenant. And every man his brethren, Hebrew Israelites, saying, Know thee, El, for all shall know me, from the least to the greatest Hebrew Israelite. And this is to 13. For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness. To whose unrighteousness? Hebrew Israelites. And their sins and their iniquities will I remember not. In that he said, a new covenant he hath made the first old. Now that which decayeth and waxes old is ready to vanish. The old covenant will be vanished, and he's replacing the new covenant with the same group of people. After he killed all the 2/3 wicked Hebrew Israelites, he's going to take that 1/3 and make the new covenant with them only, not all nations. You know, this is very detailed, because me being a seed line descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, I like what's mine was mine. It's mine. You can't have what's mine. That's mine. And I'm not going to take what's yours. Whatever y'all promised you, that's yours. You know, whatever thing, hey, if I come take it, he say, hey, that's mine. He gave it to me. Same thing here. These are things that he gave to the descendants of the Hebrew Israelites. Now we're going to go to 2nd Esdras in the Apocrypha. 2nd Esdras chapter 6. Now, why is Yah doing all these things? Redeeming Israel, giving them the new covenant, gave them the old covenant. Why is he doing all of this stuff? Because this is why. 2nd Esdras chapter 6, 8 to 9, and 54 to 55. Chapter 8 to 9. And he said, so this is what he's saying. And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau was born, of him Jacob hand held first the heel of Esau. If you go into Genesis and see the birth of Esau and Jacob, Esau came out first, red and hairy, and Jacob, he was normal, you know what I'm saying? He was normal, melanated. And he held the heel of Esau. That was just not for just something, that was a prophecy. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followed. So when Esau falls, when Yahushua HaMashiach comes back, who's going to be given dominion over the planet Earth? Jacob, the 12 tribes of Israel. Now we're going to go further this point in verse 54 to 55. And after these, Adam also, when thou madest Lord of all thy creatures. So Adam was made Lord over all the creatures. We remember this in Genesis. Of him come we all. And it's talking about of him come we all, the Hebrew Israelites. And now it's going to talk about the other people. And the people also whom thou hast chosen. Well, not talking about the other people. It's talking about come we all nations, excuse me. And the people whom also thou hast chosen, which are the Hebrew Israelites. So all nations, excluding the tares, I'm not talking about the tares, those are the devil's children. Of all we come, of Adam, all the nations, and the people also whom thou hast chosen, which are the Hebrew Israelites. Verse 55. And this have I spoken before thee, O El, because thou hast made it the world for our sake, for the Hebrew Israelites. Yah had this great plan for whatever reason that he was going to make this planet Earth, and he was going to put a chosen seed that will have dominion over the planet Earth. That's what the world was made for his children down here, for his holy children, his chosen children, to have dominion over it and to be in relationship with him. That's why the planet Earth was made. Now we're going to go to Enoch, chapter 5, verse 4, to further this point. The planet Earth was literally made for Yah's chosen people. So he can, for whatever reason, so he can have the fellowship with this chosen group. Enoch chapter 5, verse 14. But for the elect, who is the elect? The Hebrew Israelites. But for the elect there shall be light and joy and peace, and they shall inherit the earth. It always was set up for Hebrew Israelites to rule the planet Earth. Okay, I'm just furthering this point. So this is what Hebrew Israelites have to look forward to in the millennial reign. They're going to start off with him returning, and he's going to do massive killing of the wicked Hebrew Israelites, and then the blessings is going to pour out. It's going to be a whole lot of blessings. Isaiah chapter 49, verse 1 to 21, verse 1 to 21, and verse 25 to 26. Isaiah chapter 49, 1 to 21. I can get there myself. Let me go stop this camera, reset this camera, Ariana.